Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope everyone is doing good, great, and everything is fine. So, welcome to Indian stock market analysis. In this session, we are going to analyze a lot of things. We Today we have a specific topic to uh, analyze the Indian market. So let's move on. Here's my simple introduction. So it's our first session. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Gupta. I was born in 1979 in New Delhi. So at the age of 6, I migrated to Canada with my parents, and I graduated from Pennsylvania Department of Physics. I done my PhD in 2008, and in 2010, I joined Wall Street, Goldman Sachs Security, um, and so on. I have a lot of long journey. So, and then uh, I also served myself in the USA stock strategy research in 2015. I also work in BBC as a financial analyst in 2019. And after that, I turned up to India with my family because I love my country. So I have to serve for my country. So then I get back to India to serve for my country. And now I'm currently working in a firm, and this is my just simple introduction. Let's move on to the next slide. So today we have a specific topic. We will talk about long-term and the short-term stock. Before learning long-term and short-term, is it very important to see the background? What is a long-term and what is a short-term stock? Um, I think you are quite familiar with the stock. What is stock? You are quite familiar. Different companies, we can call them stock. We buy stock, we sell stock on the trading chart. With the help of that, we can earn money, and maybe we can also lose money in some way if we don't make the right decision. So it is important to have a deep look in the long term and the short term. It is very important. It is very important before investing in a stock to see the background, how this stock is look like. Is this stock is good, bad, or how is it? We have to analyze all the fundamentals of this stock. So we will not discuss the fundamentals of the stock. Here we will just discuss long-term and short-term because it's our first class. So in this session, we will just talk about long-term and short-term. First of all, let's see what is the long-term. The way you use make a difference between short-term and long-term investment. Here, a very simple introduction about long-term and short-term. If we look at the second line, we can see a stock held by a trader or investor who sell it within a few hours is definitely an investment for the short term. Yeah. So it is very simple, this line. It's mean that the stock we hold for few hours or few hours or for the short term, we call them short-term stock. So short-term stock have their own benefits and on disadvantages. We will discuss this later in the next session of this class. First of all, we have to look at the long-term and short-term simply introduction. So hopefully you will be clear about this uh, short-term stock. And let's look at the second one. At the meanwhile, a trader or an investor hold a stock for the long duration investment, that stock would be a long-term stock. Here comes an example. For example, I'm married. I have two babies. I have three babies. Two of them they are boys and one is a girl. So I want to do something for their future because I know now they are so small. But for the future, I have to give them something. I mean that I have to give them some investment. That investment can help them in the future. Okay, when they grow up and they get older, they become adults and then older, they can have that money. So this kind of investment will call long-term investment. Why we do long-term investment? It's very simple, as I just told you right now. Long-term investment we just do for the future goals, not for the current goals. Yeah. So if you look at the short term is quite for the short period. For example, the short term we just uh, for example, I have some money, I have some investment, but I don't know where I can invest this money and I can get the profit. So I'm looking around where I can do the investment and how I can make this money double, triple, or so many times, right? So I will find a stock uh, uh, for the investment and I will put that money on that stock. So that money will give me the feedback in a very short period. So this kind of investment is called short-term investment. It's very simple. I'm hopeful we will be clear with these 2 points, long-term and short-term stock. Now let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. So here we have more explanation about the long-term and the short-term stock. Every person have their own thinking, have their own the way how to think, right? Some people, for example, here I would like to give you an example. For example, uh, when the new iPhone come into the market, so many people they rush to buy this iPhone immediately, even that you they pay more money for these iPhones, but they want that phone. They want to grab that phone, you know. It's a one kind of person. And another kind of person is the thing that this iPhone is fine. I already have an iPhone, or he wants to buy it. He can buy it, but he said, I can wait for a while. I can wait some time, and the price will, when price fell down, when price decreased, so he can buy the iPhone. So these are the two thinking, right? Every person have their own way. So personally, same like that. I also have my own opinion for the long term and the short term stock. I personally prefer short term investment over long term ones. There are many reasons. Um, every person can have their own reasons to think about the long term and the short term investment. For me, why I like the short term investment, it is very simple because I don't want to wait for the long time. I don't want to put my money on the gambling. For example, I put my money on some long-term stock. I don't know what will happen in the future, what will happen next month or tomorrow, you know, because in the long-term stock, there are so many things we have to analyze. We need a very long paperwork. I mean, we have to do a lot of hard work to select the right stock for the long term. Okay, we will talk more later about this thing. So let's move on. For the starter, long-term investment means that the majority of your funds will be concentrated in a small portion of the stock market. Yeah, it's very simple to understand this slide. I don't want to put my investment just in a small portion of the stock. I don't know what will happen. I don't know if I can get the profit. I don't know if I can make the money from this long-term stock. It's very simple. Here comes another thing. So look at this line. Since this portion of the stock market is not fully favored by capital or policy for a period of a year, half a year, it is challenging to obtain the ideal return. Um, it's also simple to understand this line. This means that, for example, I bought a long-term stock, right? I put my money, I invested my money on the long-term stock. When I put my money on this stock, I do a lot of analysis. I have a lot of research. I saw so many things, right? Then I decided this stock is good. I can invest on this stock. But I don't know what will happen. For example, today this stock is doing very good, but on the second day, I don't know if the policy will be changed. For example, uh, suddenly Prime Minister Modi, PM Modi, he came out and he announced we have COVID days. We have to stop it here, all the things, and you have to go for the long time, lockdown for the long time, right? So these kind of things make me more anxious and let me make more worried about my investment, right? So these kind of scenarios will make the market to the fully bullish trend and the market will fall down within few seconds, right? So I will lost my all investment, even that I, got some benefits, I got some profit. But with this period, I mean, with this announcement, all the things I've lost just in a second. Okay, so I think you are quite acknowledged with this. Okay, so now let's see the next one. In addition, the stock, let me line make some line for you. It will be more easier to get. In addition, the stock markets experience psychologically shock during the period of the long-term trend. It's very simple, right? For example, I just gave you example. Like suddenly something happened and I lost my money. So if I put my investment in the stock, So I always will be worried about the stock. I can't sleep well. I can't eat well. I always have thinking about the long-term stuff, about my investment. You're right. I will just always think about my money. Where's my money? Can I take it back? Or this money will goes to another hands. So it's a psychologically shock during the long-term investment. And so I personally prefer trading stocks over long-term investment. Yeah, sorry. Here is short-term, right? So these are the things which makes me think a lot. Let me decide. Let me decide about the right thinking, where I can invest. Where should I invest? I invest on the long term or should I invest on the short term? So this all thinkings let me think about my investment style. So I decided to invest on the short term stock. So here come, I can also offer you some advices if you insist on going to do long-term investment. Uh, Here I would like to tell you a story. Um, Guys, I taught a lot of students over these few years. As you can see in my introduction, I have a lot of experience. So I worked on many different places and I also took many seminars and I have so many online sessions. So this thinking, my this all experience let me um, let me consider about my stock style, investment style. So I was going to mention here a story. During my this all experience, I met with many people, right? So they were doing long-term investment. During the long-term investment, they have so many problems. They come to me, they come to my inbox, they ask me questions in 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 so many seminars. So they ask me, they have invested their whole life money on long term in stock, but they always worried about their investment. They don't know what they can do. Should they take out the money or they just keep going on and they wait more? And some of them, they told me, they told me that they invested on the long-term stock, but they waited for over 6 months or years of years. Different clients, they have different situation, right? So they have waited for the long term. Some of them they waited for a few months. Some of them they waited for so many years. Some of them they invested that money when they just get married and they don't have babies and they think about their children future. And when their uh, children grow up and they want to hand over this money to them, they realized the way they choose for the investment was not right. They can get the good profit, and some of them they lost their money during this period. Here, I'd like to mention again the example of COVID days. When you have the COVID, the breakout, the COVID came out, and and before the COVID, all the markets, all the stocks were very good. They were doing very good. But after that, when COVID came out, so what happened? Suddenly, all the stocks fell down to the mouth. So what happened? They lost all of money. They can't get the profit. Even that they waited for a long time. They invested few years ago, so many years ago, but they can't get the profit. So these are the stories. So I would not mention a lot of stories because we just have a few minutes for this class. So I have to keep move on, right, for this class. So first, do not choose stock from the popular players uh, for long-term investment because frequently these stocks are valued by the bank institution or exclusively high stocks. These lines are very easy to understand. If we choose the very high rating stock for the long term, so what will happen? Maybe some bad things happen in the stock and that stock will fall down in a day because this kind of high rated uh, stocks is um, is related or invested by bankers, institution, and exclusively high investors because they invest this money. So it's very simple. It is very difficult to appear in the late stage. There are companies, if you cannot catch the trend, you will lose a lot of trading opportunity if you choose a wrong direction. This lines means that, for example, you have choose a very good company, a very good stock, but that was not the right place to invest your money. And you invested your money, but you have waited for this money for the long time. Okay. But when you want to get out of your stock, your investment, you suddenly realize this was not the right place. Long term and short term stocks, yes, we just keep on this topic. Additionally, we need to select a business with very strong financial standing. We have to be analyze their financial standing situation. I can look at the financial debt in the past and can look at the market capitalization of the same industry equivalent company. This means that I can see their debt. Some company they grow very fast, but they have debt, right? And we also have to analyze the capitalization. How big is this company? What's the capital of this company? These are all things about the long-term investment. This is because if you choose a long-term investment in the debt in the company is too high, ex explosive news can happen quickly. Yeah, so we just talk about this thing. For example, you choose a very high-rated company, and suddenly something happens. You got some exclusive news about the trend, and that stock will fall down, and you will lose your all the money, all the investment. If this does, it's possible that you will lose your investment. Yeah, so these are the things It's very easy to understand. And I think after understanding this all point, it's very easy to realize we can lose money very easily. So we have to be careful when we choose the stock. Here, I'd like to give you my opinion, what kind of uh, trading style I prefer. So, as I mentioned you, uh, I have a lot of experience, and based on my this experience, I have choose a short-term trading. Short-term trading is so we will now see why I choose the long-term trading, such as let me first explain you why I do the short-term trading investment. So here I will give you my points why I choose the short-term trading, short-term investment. Short-term investment fast and in and out and will not have too much loss. For example, I invest my money in a short term. For example, this morning, I invested my money on the short term trading, and I saw the market is going up, have bullish trend. But when market is going to close, it suddenly fell down and it became very bearish. You know, so I will have a close eyes on this stock. When I see the stock is falling down quickly, I will just exit from the stock. So it's very easy and more safe. Short-term focuses on short-term trends. For example, today a company got a high quality contract and got some good news. So definitely this market will go up and will have a good trend, will have a bullish trend. We can better utilize the hands of the funds and the marketplace. Constantly rotating short term can better correct the good of benefits. Yeah, as I just mentioned in my above lines, the short term very easy to handle and I can very easily control my uh, investment and have good benefits. I do not like to invest in a type of gambling because in the investment market, most people will invest for the long term and nobody's know what will happen in the future. As I mentioned in the beginning, uh, the long-term investment is like as gambling. I put my all this money on the long-term trading, but suddenly something happened and the stock fell down. So I've lost my all the stuff, all the money, all all the trend, right? So I've lost my money. So it's just like as gambling. I don't want to invest my money on the gambling. Most investors will choose to purchase a large number of stocks in the market. Why? Yeah, here we can, right? A big why. Because they believe that only a small number will be impacted by policy by the favor of a political situation. Okay, guys, so we were talking about the benefits and the other things about the stock. We just move on. So, however, ordinary investors cannot control this factor to control their loss. We cannot invest our whole life hardworking money into the luck game. The only thing what we can do if we want to increase our income for the investment is to change our own behavior. So these lines tell us very simple meanings. Like there are many reasons why we choose a short-term investment. These are my perspective why I choose the short-term. So these are the all reasons, and it's very easy to understand, and it's very easy to realize why I choose the short-term investment. Because the reason was these things like I don't need to wait for the long time, and it's like a gambling and a lot of things. And if something happen, I can take out my money. So these are the things why I choose the short-term investment. So let's see disadvantages of long-term investment. We have so many disadvantages, but because of shortage of time, I will just discuss just few of them. Mm, While long-term investment can have many disadvantages, there are some potential drawbacks to consider. Just few of them we can discuss here. Limited liquidity. Long-term investment can restrict access to funds, making it difficult to obtain cash for unexpected expenses or emergencies. If, for example, you put your money on the long-term investment, you cannot take out your money. If something happened, if something emergency, you cannot take out that money and you can't choose. So it's very restricted, very difficult. So let's see the next point, opportunity cost. By choosing long-term investment, you may miss out on short-term investment opportunity that could yield higher returns. For example, you invested all your money on the long-term investment. Now, definitely you don't have money to invest on another stock. For example, some stock they are doing very good, and if they are doing very good, you can invest on that for the short-term investment. But you don't have choice because you already have invested on the long term. So it's also a negative point. Market uncertainty. Investing for the long term requires enduring market volatility and potential fluctuation, which can be challenging if you are unprepared. For example, we don't know what will happen in the market. So we don't know. For example, we just bought the long-term stock, but suddenly something happened, but we don't aware. So you will lost your stock, right? You will lost your stock. Inflation risk. Over the time, inflation can dismiss the purchasing power of investment potential, resulting in lower than. Yeah. For example, information risk high became higher, so it's also a drawback of long-term disadvantages. Tying up capital. Long-term investment often requires a significant amount of capital, limiting your ability to allocate funds to other areas or to respond to the challenging financial needs. Lack of flexibility. Long-term investment typically have predetermined time frames, make it challenging to access funds before maturity without plenties or dismissed opportunities. Challenging circumstances. Your financial goals or personal circumstances may change over the long term, necessitating premature liquidation of investment and potentially leading to financial losses of or missed opportunities. Before committing to long-term investment, it's very crucial to access your risk tolerance, financial objects, and liquidity requirements. So for if you want to invest for the long term, maybe you have to find some financial advisor who they can give you nice advice to protect your investment. Here come some advantages of short-term investment. There are bundles of advantages of short-term investment, but here I'd like to just tell you a few of them. Liquidity. Short-term investment provides instant access to money, enabling you to withdraw your investment, such as to pay unforeseen bills or bill advantages or present situation opportunities. So, for example, something happens, suddenly something happens. Uh, so you can use that short-term money. I mean, you can liquidate your money to the cash, and you can use that money for that thing, for that emergency. So it's a plus point for the short-term investment. Here's the flexibility. What's the flexibility of short-term? Let's say short-term investment provides you more freedom to modify your investing plan in response to shifting market conditions or new trend because they have a shorter investment horizon. So you have the flexibility in the market in short-term investment. Capital preservation. Short-term investment typically have a lower risk profile and less exposure to market volatility than long-term investment, helping to protect your capital and deliver a more steady return on investment. Higher returns than saving account. For this aiming, it's very simple to see this thing. Short-term investment will have more returns as compared to saving accounts. You invested on the long term, so you can't get the profit, you know. But in the short term, just in a short period, you can have a good returns. Short-term investments are a good way to diversify your portfolio. So it's very easy to make your portfolio more good, more better. Okay, so we have a few of them more. Capitalizing on the market opportunities. Short-term investment provides you the ability to take advantages of transient market trends or particular occurrence results in quick gains. Now let's see the next one. Protections against inflation. Short-term investment with interest rates that are higher than inflation can help keep your money purchasing your power intact by protecting it from the erosion brought on by growing costs. So you can, if the inflation rate is higher, suddenly you can take out your money and you can protect your investment. Stock short-term investment often involve less commitment than long-term investment, making it simpler to adopt your investment plan if your financial condition or aspiration change. So very easily you can take out your money in the short-term investment. If your condition is not good, you have some financial problem, you can choose this short-term money for your another purposes. So this was all about long-term and the short-term. Hopefully you will have a good decision in the future and you will do the short-term trading. So let's see. Good luck all of you guys and goodbye until to the next session.